Who's ready for some mighty delicious Pokemon? Hey all you nerds, Gabe, aka Fruipy Art here, and welcome to the first episode of Let's Pokemon Together, where I take your suggestions and create new Pokemon based on them. So you're actually going to want to make sure to stick around to the end, as I'll have a prompt for the next episode of this series. But in a previous episode, I gave you a nice, simple prompt to start off with. Food! Now, let's see what you came up with. First up is a regional form inspired by comments left by Skunky Spinda, Alex2792, and Impending Randomness. They were thinking about cornucopias and something to do with layers, and there was an often overlooked two-stage line that would work perfect for this. Dwebble already has a somewhat cornucopia-shaped shell, so we're just going to make that not a rock anymore. And, I just have to say, alright, I love this suggestion, since it is food-inspired, but it isn't just a food as a Pokemon, so could work, you guys. The nature of the cornucopia, the idea, of a bountiful harvest, also gives our Dwebble a pretty fun and helpful personality too. We'll get to it in the decks. This will also be the second Pokemon that I've done that incorporates berries directly into the design. The first being Fritzskitter, that silly frying pan design I did with Matt Moore. I love that guy. But yeah, it's fun to work those in here too. Alrighty, let's meet our first food-inspired design. Here is Dwebble, Omnamian form. Now, there isn't actually a food-based region, as convincing as my April Fool's video may have been, but for the sake of this episode, we'll pretend there is, and it would definitely have to be called the Omnom region, so yeah, Omnamian Dwebble, the Gather Pokemon. This little critter searches the forest, collecting berries, which it stores in its curved conical shell. The Omnamian variant of Dwebble is incredibly kind and shares all of its hoarded food with anyone it comes across. This sometimes involves it throwing berries at unsuspecting people. And the ability is Gluttony, that encourages the Pokemon to use its berries a little bit earlier than normal. Pretty fun and pretty darn adorable, but of course, we've got to make a big and boxy evolution. Turning Crustle into a sandwich just makes too much sense. It's already based on the different layers of rock, so what if we just swap out some of those layers with vegetation and berries? It really just designs itself. A couple minor tweaks here and there, right? Making the feet a little cuter since it is fairy type. Putting a third digit on the claws so that they function more like forks. And, of course, the classic toothpick through the sandwich. This one, of course, is skewering a berry. It all just works so well. Oh, and I'm sure you saw with Dwebble, but I pulled in some of the regular form's colors in for the shiny. It just so happens that when I swapped Crustle's colors in and brought in that, orangey gold color it has, the shiny for this regional form gets to be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is a shiny that I would definitely hunt for if I could. Alright, here is Omnamian Crustle, the layered Pokemon. Omnamian Dwebble evolve into this massive bug when it isn't happy with the amount of food that it can store for others. Its shell splits into two square sections, which it stockpiles berries between. Researchers suspect that Omnamian Crustle may look different depending on which berries they're able to collect, and its ability is also Gluttony. Alrighty, pretty awesome, but you'll have to let me know what you think of these regional forms. And another thank you to those of you who helped me come up with these. Okay, next up we have a prompt from Reptilian Drawing, who pointed me towards the pineapple fish, along with a tiger-headed fish yokai. This is the type of combination that I would have never come up with on my own. All the props to Reptilian Drawing for making the connection between this Japanese yokai and this particularly funny fish. Having never heard of the pineapple fish, it certainly lives up to its name, what with the spike scale pattern and the long leafy-like fins. Very cool, very cool. In the end, it was just about balancing the fish and the tiger beast's influences from the yokai. I think the thing that helped the most was bringing in some brown present in the leaves and spikes so that they feel a little bit more like tiger stripes. And here is another shiny that I got to have some fun with. The normal colors are already pretty tropical feeling, but I decided to go crazy with the shiny. Okay, let's meet our Shachihoko yokai mixed with a pineapple fish. Here is Pinachi, the pineapple Pokemon. This strange creature seems to be a mixture of a spiked fruit, fish, and feline. It is quite crafty and draws in prey by bobbing on the surface of the water to appear like a piece of fruit. Any Pokemon who gets too close thinking they are getting an easy meal risks becoming food themselves. And its ability is rough skin, since they're basically a pineapple and they're all pokey and whatnot. I think this works well as a single stage design, though I could certainly see it getting even bigger. I don't know, let me know if you have any thoughts about what its evolution would be. Okay, we've got 2 more designs to take care of, and they were inspired by a bunch of comments. So, Keller QR, Copper Drawers, Dance88, It's Charlie, and my buddy Pewter City Jim all contributed to this. Without reading them all, there was an interest in a alternate take on Applin, and mix that with the possibility of a kind of parasitic relationship. Pewter City Jim in particular, who has his own awesome Fakemon channel, go check it out, pushed me towards incorporating the leftover held item somehow. So, what we've got here is a poisonous apple that basically wants you to take a bite out of it. I've got a pretty awesome ability to go with that, actually. Okay, here is Scraplin, the leftover Pokemon. This clever Pokemon lives inside a discarded piece of food. The poisons that Scraplin excretes subdue any other Pokemon that tries to snack on it. Scientists are still unsure if this Pokemon is directly related to Applin or not. It may actually be a regional form or an example of convergent evolution. And the ability is something new I am calling Bite Back. So, that negates biting moves that take place on the field. So if you're using Bite or like a Fang move or like Draining Kiss or Swallow or anything like that, that negates the move outright. And this Pokemon then drains 1/4 of the HP. So it's pretty situational, but really good. Scraplin is weird, but adorable. Now you're probably wondering, where do we go from here? Well, Dance88's comment mentioned compost, and I couldn't resist. Also, what a great final food design, compost, right? Having it all gross and nasty. I pulled in some of the basic elements from Flapple and Appleton, but of course had a lot of fun covering it with just a bunch of nastiness. Oh, I also imagine this having like a new evolution method. Basically, since the ability is so fun and weird, it would need to have it activated 10 times or something before it could evolve. You'd basically need to go out of your way to find Pokemon that would use like Peck or Bite or Draining Kiss or whatever. I'm also undecided. Let me know what you think. If this should be like a regional form or convergent evolution, let me know. Okay, let's meet this pile of poison. Here is Scraphost, the compost Pokemon. This goopy monster collects discarded bits of food and adds them to its decomposing collection. It's able to absorb toxins through its skin to further boost its poison-type attacks. Unfortunately for trainers, Scraphost is just as affectionate as it is disgusting, and its ability remains Bite Back because it's weird and fun. And there they are. Thank you to everyone who gave me a suggestion. I got so many amazing ones. I wish I had the time to make more of them. But before we go, I've got to give you the prompt for the next episode of Let's Pokemon Together. Okay, so I'm a pretty big Marvel fan, but I want to branch out a little. So I want suggestions for Pokemon based on things from DC. Don't just write a character name. I want you to really think about how they would be translated into a Pokemon. This one's a little bit tougher than the last prompt, so I'm excited to see what you come up with. All right, later, nerds.